Let's Uncommon Fossil, and I want to talk about some new cards that have been revealed on Poke Beach. They're coming out in Japan on July 19th in the Stellar Miracle set, and we should be getting them as part of our Stellar Crown set on September 13. I will provide a link to the article in the description below. Just let me know if I forget to do that in the comments, and I will get that up there quickly. As things are, they announced it for Japan a few weeks in advance, and then we have a few months to wait. So we have to be patient. But I do think this makes it's a little deck combo that they're presenting with 3 Pokemon and 1 supporter. It's a rogue deck. Whether it is strong enough to be a quote rogue deck, we'll consider a little bit here. So the supporter, jump to that first because they all need the supporter to work, is Kofu. Here's the art of it, and it's a text is Japanese, which I can't read, but we get the translations on Poke Beach. You put 2 cards from your hand on the bottom of your deck in any order. Probably not terrible, but it's not. It is what it is. I'm not sure that that's a plus for other decks, but that's something to consider as well. If you do that, then you draw 4 cards. If you can't put 2 cards from your hand on the bottom of your deck, then you can't play this card. So you have to have at least 2 other cards plus the Kofu to be able to play with it. You're drawing 4 cards, which, look, I know it's going to be said it's bad, and it's not bad drawing 4 cards, but it's not great. It's okay, but probably not good enough to really see much play, I would think. You're putting cards from your hand on the bottom of your deck. Is that going to give some value to some decks? Maybe. I can't think of anything, though. So that's the supporter, but we have to have the supporter to work with these other Pokemon. One is a Veluza. Here's the art for that. I always think Veluza is a very interesting looking Pokemon, so I certainly enjoy seeing a new Veluza art there. And it's a basic water Pokemon, 30 HP, so a solid number there. For a single prize, basic Pokemon that is, right? You're going to get 1 shot pretty much, but that's the life of the single prize Pokemon in the game, right? And it's got the attack for 4 colors energy. That's not good, but wait, there is help with that. Sonic Edge does 110 damage, and this attack's damage isn't affected by any effects on your opponent's active Pokemon, so it hits through effects, although it's not. Mimikyu's not an issue because it's not a rule box Pokemon. It's not an EX or a V. But there are things that wall basic Pokemon, so it'll hit through this. All the other Pokemon it pairs with is a evolution, so hitting through effects probably isn't overly valuable with this. What it has, though, to make it work is the ability Prep Work. Now, the names of things like the ability, that might be wrong, but what it does will be correct when the final translation gets released. Attacks used by this Pokemon cost 1 colorless less for each Kofu card in your discard pile. As a supporter, which I just talked about, that means you can have 4 of. So you get all 4 in the discard pile. It attacks for free. So if you get 4 Kofus in the discard pile, it's as good as Cramorant from Lost Origin. Does the same damage. It's a little tankier, right? The Cramorant's 110. This is 130. But it's harder to set up, right? So it's a worse form of Cramorant. But if you're playing this deck, it's really because the evolution you want, but you're probably going to slap in 1 or 2 Veluzas along the way. And if you get 3 Kofus in the discard pile, you can still say you can attach 1 energy and attack with it then. So it's okay in the deck. But anyway, getting into the big boy, and this is Crabominal. It evolves from Crabrawler. There are Crabominals and Crabrawlers in format already. I was taking a look at some of those options. I didn't think any of those were better in this list than these arts here. So this is the art for the basic. It's got 2 attacks for colorless energy. Because it's a fighting type, the basic in the attacker is a water type, so you can use them with water energy, but the attacks aren't very good. But then here is the Crabominable water Pokemon, 160 HP, not bad. And you see this nice 250 damage number on it, so that we know is something good. And then there's this very, very, very lovely alternate art here. So, perhaps the alternate art would get delayed, if anything. In terms of playability, it doesn't matter. But this is a very nice alternate art. I like it. Very subdued, subtle colors there. Anyway, getting into the text, what it does. Crabominal, stage 1, obviously evolves from Crabrawler. And it's 160 HP, so that's fine. I mean, that's not bad. And some things won't one-shot it, which is always nice. But you're probably getting 1 shot, so we don't worry about that. The attack is water, colorless. So 4 colorless is 1 water. That's terrible, but the Haymaker does attack does 250 damage. It can't use Haymaker the following turn. That's the only attack it has. So again, you're probably getting knocked out, or if you're surviving, you're going to have to do some switching to reset things. But 250 damage on a single prize Stage 1 Pokemon is a good number. And of course, how do we pay for it? Again, it's got the ability Prep Work. That is the same ability, exact name as the Veluza, and it does the same thing. Attacks used by this Pokemon cost 1 colorless less for each Kofu card in this discard pile. So here, getting 4 Kofus is pretty important in the discard pile, because then we just need to attack for 1 single attachment. Otherwise, we need to accelerate energy if we can't get all 4 Kofus in the discard pile. And of course, if 1 Kofu is prized, it's tough to get it out of the prizes these days. So just keep that in mind. That's going to be a challenge, right? Getting it out of the prizes if we have it. But 250 damage for potentially 1 energy, or 2, we need some energy acceleration if we're going to power it up each turn. It's a stage 1. That's a very nice number to hit. We have the tools to get it to amplify that, so we can get to 180 on Vs or 300 on EXs. Very good there. What this reminds me of, and may you as well, is something like Serena and Braixen, another combo. Serena's was the supporter that was paired with discard up to 3 cards from your hand. It had 2 options, actually. It was a very solid card when it came out. If you do, you can discard up to 3 cards. You draw until you have 5 cards in hand, so a way to get cards in the discard pile, which some decks like. Then you also had the option of, it was a boss to your opponent's Pokemon V. Switch one of your opponent's bench V Pokemon with their active Pokemon. And of course, when this came out, there were no EXs, so this was a solid card. But then what it paired with was Braixen and Delphox. Braixen, this attack does 60 damage for each Serena card in your discard pile. It was 2 colorless, so you'd have a double turbo attached generally. So 240, it'd be down to 220, but that would one-shot a lot of basic Vs. It still does, obviously, as well as basic EX. Well, some things it comes up a little short, so not bad. But you have to get all 4 in the discard pile, otherwise you're not one-shotting and even a multi-prize basic Pokemon. Well, I mean, that's not true. You can one-shot like Lumineon V. You can one-shot Squawkabilly EX, but those aren't those aren't the ones they're attacking with, and your opponent's not leaving those around for you to attack with. So. And then there was the stage 2, which of course gets better but harder to set up, where the Flare Parade for just 1 energy, so we don't need to attach a double turbo, so it can do the full damage. And this one does 60 for each Serena attached. Generally, I did Braixen Serena. I don't know if I played Delphox in it, because it didn't really make the deck better. So how does it compare? It's a similar type of concept. An attacker paired with some supporters. You know, Braixen Serena was a fun rogue deck. It might be a meme deck. To me, a rogue deck has some level of viability. Like if you took it to a tournament, you could do well if things, if things hit the right matchups. With a meme deck, it's fun to play. You'll certainly win some games with a deck like this. Serena Braixen, I did, but it wasn't going to perform well consistently. So how does this? I think Chromominal, I like it better than Serena Braixen, just because the ability reduces the attack cost. So even if you only get 3, you can still attack for 2 energies. You can be powering it up. And once you get it powered up, you're doing the full 250, which is actually more than the Braixen anyway. So that's very nice. We'll have to see how it is. It's definitely a type of deck I want to try out. Pokemon regularly does some things like this, like I've talked about the one example I've given, and they give other things like it. They're generally not great. This one, because the 250 damage though is more interesting and appealing, it's definitely something to play around with. See at what level rogue deck players can. How good can we get this deck to be? I don't ever expect it to be a top-tier deck, but it's certainly something fun to mess around with, and it's nice to start thinking about it now, and I look forward to trying it out in the future. Let me know in the comments below what you think about this card, this combination. Do you think it has a chance to be anything better than a meme deck, where it's just a fun game and you get a couple big wins but lose a lot? Or could it be kind of a semi-viable rogue deck? I think that's kind of the range it's in. So let me know your thoughts, and take care, have some fun, and play some Pokemon.